Peace. Welcome you to your live book reading of Clinical Application of Respiratory Care by Barry A. Shapiro, Ronald A. Harrison, and Carole A. Trout. Peace. Happy Friday. Here we go. We pick up in a new chapter. Yes. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel Neveu Riley. Uriel Neveu Riley. Mutable energy. Here we go. Chapter 24. Principles of PEEP therapy. P-E-E-P. As we spoken about earlier. Page 364 for those following along and reading. Yes. New chapter. Peace, YouTube. What's going on? All right, cool. Let's do it. Oh, here we go. All right, let's go. Here we go. Chapter 24, Principles of PEEP Therapy. Of the numerous clinical advances that have evolved in acute respiratory care over the past decade, it appears that positive and expiratory pressure, PEEP, therapy has made the greatest impact on mortality and morbidity. Routine application of PEEP therapy developed in less than 3 years. This rapid acceptance has resulted in many clinicians accepting half-truths and undocumented concepts, leading to the present day overuse, misuse, and misapplication of PEEP therapy. Although there is much to be learned, certain facts are obvious. 1. PEEP is not the answer to all hypoxemia. 2. PEEP has not negated the need for ventilators. And 3. PEEP is not harmless. This chapter is designed to aid the respiratory care practitioner in placing PEEP therapy on as solid a physiologic and clinical basis as present knowledge allows, while providing a sound foundation with which future knowledge may be properly integrated. Defining PEEP therapy. Alveolar distending pressure and FRC. Peace, YouTube. Welcome. Welcome. All right, here we go. Live from the light here in LA. Thank you so much for reading books with us. Inhalation is an active event in which contraction of ventilatory muscles results in increased thoracic volume. Exhalation is normally a passive event in which relaxation of ventilatory muscles allows the elastic properties of the lung to create increased alveolar pressures. The resultant alveolar to mouth driving pressure causes gas flow until alveolar pressures equal mouth pressure. The volume of gas remaining in the lungs at the end exhalation is defined as functional residual capacity, FRC, and is primarily determined by elastic properties of the chest wall and elastic properties of the lung. See Figure 3.1. At the end of exhalation, the force opposing the lung elasticity is the alveolar distending pressure. Alveolar pressure minus intrapleural pressure, see figure 21.1c. Since trans-airway pressure must equal zero at FRC, transpulmonary pressure must equal the alveolar distending pressure at FRC. You have to know this. You have to know this. Here we go. Threshold resistor. Peace, YouTube. Thank you for the likes and subs. We're pushing towards 600 on this channel, reading books. Thank you so much for all the book lovers community, all of the subs, and yeah, rep text, M text, getting the next generation prepared. Here we go. Threshold resistor. A threshold resistor is a device that does not interfere with flow as long as the system pressure remains above a predetermined value. When the system pressure falls below that value, the flow completely stops. When a threshold resistor is placed on the exhalation limb of a breathing circuit, figure 24.1, flow is unimpeded until the pressure falls below the predetermined threshold. When that occurs, the flow completely stops and the pressure is maintained within the system. Thus, it is possible to maintain expiratory airway pressure above atmospheric at the end of exhalation, while inspiratory and expiratory flows are unaffected by the system. In this manner, it is technically possible to increase the end expiratory airway pressure to predetermined levels above ambient while leaving inspiratory and expiratory flows essentially unimpeded. This is termed positive and expiratory pressure, which is PEEP. Yay! Getting right to it, right? We're in the 24th chapter of Principles of PEEP Therapy, Clinical Application of Respiratory Care by Barry A. Shapiro, Ronald A. Harrison, and Carole A. Trout in the 24th chapter. So this is figure 24.1, schematic representation of the threshold resistor in the expiratory limb of breathing circuit. Expiratory, or EXP, or in the graph, you'll see, flow is illustrated and is unimpeded. A represents a diaphragm that functions as an exhalation valve. When in up position, as shown, flow is unimpeded. When in a down position, flow is completely occluded. B represents a water column atop the diaphragm. When expiratory pressure falls below the weight or pressure exerted by the water column, the diaphragm will shut and flow will cease. Thus, a 10 centimeter column of water will maintain plus 10 centimeters H2O pressure in the expiratory limb. Here we go. 24.1. Thank you so much for reading with us. Clinical Application of Respiratory Care. This is the second edition, 1979. So as you see there, showing it in detail. Peace. Welcome. Live from the light here in LA. Terminology of PEEP therapy. As illustrated in figure 24.2, when PEEP is administered to a patient receiving intermittent positive pressure ventilation, IPPV, it may be referred to as continuous positive pressure ventilation, or CPPV, or the ventilator with PEEP. When applied to a patient receiving intermittent mandatory ventilation, it may be referred to as IMV plus PEEP. When applied to conjunction with spontaneous ventilation and the inspiratory pressures remain above atmospheric, it is referred to as continuous positive airway pressure, or CPAP. Right? Gotta connect that dot. Drop a pin there. Ding! The CPAP. When applied to a spontaneously breathing patient whose inspiratory pressure must fall below atmospheric, it is referred to as expiratory positive airway pressure, or EPAP. The following discussion concerns the physiologic effects of PEEP alone, i.e., independent of the mechanisms providing the inspiratory flow. And so here you see on page 366, you'll see the CPPV in control mode, and then the IMV and PEEP plus PEEP, and then the CPAP, and then the EPAP. At the top, it says airway pressure centimeters H2O, and showing the PEEP. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you had a wonderful day. Get to come here and chill and relax in peace. Read some books, have someone read to you, and in the replays, you get to read with us and read with us. Second edition, Clinical Application of Respiratory Care, page 366, 24th chapter. Here we go. In the middle of page 367, Physiology of PEEP therapy. Under circumstances in which the intrinsic elastic properties of the lung and chest wall remain reasonably constant, PEEP will increase end expiratory lung volume, functional residual capacity, or FRC, functional residual capacity, FRC. Let's take notes. Table 24:1. This is purely a qualitative relationship. Right? Peace, peace, Marquise. Hi, it's hard. Love you. Thank you so much. Look, I'm wearing my South LA Cafe blue, right? Live from the light. Peace. Thank you so much, everyone, for the likes and subs. We're pushing towards 600. This peaceful part of YouTube where we read books live and put them in a playlist so you can read for generations here on YouTube. Thank you so much. We're in the medical book section of this last 2 quarters of this calendar year. So now we're in the harvest year, right? Or harvest season. So gather it all in. Gather it all in. See what we need, what we don't need. Get rid of what we don't need. It's a part of cleaning up. Now, I'm always going to endorse cleaning up. You know, here we go. All right. So, table 24:1, theoretic relationship of PEEP and FRC. For any increment of PEEP, the ideal gas law, PV, equals nRT. P equals pressure, V equals volume, N equals number of molecules, R equals gas constant, T equals temperature. And 2, since R and T are maintained constant, P and V over N equals P to the second power, V to the second power over N to the second power, right? That 1 to 2 ratio, 1-to-1 ratio. Rearranging equation 1, P1 over P2 equals N1 over V1 over top of N2 over V2. And 3, assuming at FRC, A, P represents intra-alveolar pressure ambient. B, the ratio N1 over V represents the ambient FRC measurement. C, P2 represents intra-alveolar pressure with PEEP. See, increased without compressing chest wall or lung, i.e. V2 is not less than V1. That's right. All right. And 4, when P2 is greater than P1, then N2 is N V over V2 is greater than N1 over V1. Therefore, PEEP increases FRC. All right, there we go. Said a lot, but that's what I'm here for, to read it for you. Oh man, thank you so much. Gratitude, YouTube, for publishing this content and allowing me to get it out to the world and those youth aspiring to be a clinical physician of any sort, as well as a respiratory tech. Thank you so much. All right. And it says 24-2, airway pressure curves of various modes of positive and expiratory pressure, which is PEEP, right? Superimposed on the normal airway pressure curve. CPPV equals continuous positive pressure ventilation, or CPAP equals continuous positive airway pressure. EPAP equals expiratory positive airway pressure. IMV, intermittent mandatory ventilation. Thank you so much. All right. And here we go. This is purely a qualitative relationship for any increment of PEEP. The degree of FRC expansion varies with compliance of the lungs, right? Here we go. E.g., the lesser the compliance, the lesser the FRC expansion for any increment of PEEP. The distribution of that increased lung volume will depend on several factors that are best illustrated by developing a theoretic lung model based on well-documented pulmonary physiology. In the normal erect lung at FRC 1, majority of blood flow is to the bases. See figure 4.2. 2. Intrapleural pressures are more subatmospheric at the apex than at the base. See figure 4.3. And 3, intra-alveolar pressures are equal throughout the lung. See figure 4.3. As discussed in chapter 4 and illustrated in figure 24.3, transpulmonary pressure, alveolar distending pressure at FRC is greater at the apex than the base and results in larger alveoli at the apex. In addition, normal FRC includes approximately 1/2 the total lung capacity, or TLC, which 1 favors the distribution of inspired gases toward the bases, And 2, renders the lung compliance optimal for inspiration. As discussed in Chapter 20, any acute decrease in FRC will 1, affect the ventilation perfusion relationship adversely, and 2, provide a less than optimal compliance for inspiration. In addition, acute decreases in FRC may decrease alveolar volumes to the degree that the smaller alveoli collapse. Normal airways and normal chest wall properties are assumed in our model. See Figure 24.3, upon which a homogeneous disease process that acutely decreases lung compliance is imposed. Figure 24.4. Thus, the TLC and FRC are significantly diminished. The increased lung elasticity results in greater negative intrapleural pressure. At FRC, the intrapleural pressure is negative 14 centimeters, H2O at the apex, and minus 6 centimeters, H2O at the base. These values are for illustrative purposes only and are not known to represent actual measurements. It should be recalled that of FRC transpulmonary pressures, TPP, are equal to alveolar distending pressures. Therefore, the apical 10 TPP in our model is 0 minus a minus 14 Z minus 14 and equals a plus 14. The basilar TPP equals a plus 6. Woo! Shoo! Super high level. Here we go. Figure 24.3. The theoretic relationships of lung volume, pulmonary compliance, and ventilation perfusion. See text. IRV, inspiratory reserve volume, and VT, tidal volume. ERV, expiratory reserve volume. RV, residual volume. And this is also what we see on the front of this masterful book of clinical application and respiratory care. I know it's faded a lot because we've been reading it and fondling it and, handling it. So this is 24.3. Thank you so much for being here. So great and grateful and thankful for all that I have now, all that is coming to us. We are reading Anatomy and Respiratory Care by Barry A. Shapiro, Ronald A. Harrison, and Carole A. Trout in the 24th chapter. All right, and this is 24.4. As you will see, acute restrictive disease without PEEP results in greater than normal negative intrapleural pressures at FRC. All alveolar pressures are equal and equal to mouth pressures. See the text. With 10 centimeters H2O PEEP, more pressure is transmitted to the pleural space at the apex. 7 centimeters H2O transmitted. Then at the base, 3 centimeters H2O transmitted. Thus, transpulmonary pressure is increased 7 centimeters H2O at the base and only 3 centimeters H2O at the apex. PEEP, positive and expiratory pressure. FRC, functional residual capacity. 24.4. There we go. Thank you so much for reading with us. So honored to be able to bring this information to you. You guys could take notes and those in the playlist. I will put the description in, I will put the vocabulary in the description. Hi, it's Heart Love. I hope you've had a wonderful Friday. Very impactful, beautiful Friday. Let us continue. Let us now apply a PEEP of 10 centimeters H2O, which results in alveolar pressures of plus 10 at FRC. Some degree of FRC expansion must occur. See Table 24.1. A portion of that increased alveolar pressure will be dissipated in enlarging the lung, whereas the remainder will be transmitted to the pleural space. In general, the poorer the initial alveolar compliance, the greater the portion of pressure that must be dissipated to increase alveolar size. Since the basilar alveoli are less compliant than the apical alveoli, a greater portion of the increased alveolar pressure will be dissipated at the bases than at the apex. In other words, more of the increased alveolar pressure will be transmitted to the apical intrapleural space than to the basilar intrapleural space, as exemplified in Figure 24.4. 7 of the 10 centimeters H2O are transmitted at the apex, while 3 of the 10 centimeters H2O are transmitted at the base. This results in an apical TPP increase of 3 centimeters H2O and a basilar TPP increase of 7 centimeters H2O. Thus, a relatively greater portion of the increased FRC per unit lung will be distributed to the basilar areas. Whew. So real, right? This discussion has assumed a homogeneous lung disease causing an acute and significant decrease in lung compliance. Indeed, the model closely resembles the adult respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS, see chapter 30. Remember that the model refers to the lung in an erect human being. All relationships apply in any position. All relationships apply in any position. Ding! Drop a pin there. And why is that? Because of the expiratory and inspiratory flow and capacity, the pressure, the oxygen, the gravity. Yes. Master level books, right? For the masters. Then welcome to the peaceful part of YouTube, Masters Corner here. We read books and learn from masters. I'm Master Fitness Trainer Uriel Riley. So thank you so much, Isis's father. Yes, that's right. His heart love. The basilar alveoli would be the gravity dependent alveoli. In our theoretic model, a logical argument may be made to support the statement that the closer the FRC is restored toward normal, the less effective PEEP will be in favoring expansion of the less compliant basilar alveoli. A similar argument could be made for regionally isolated disease in that the increased FRC from PEEP may tend to go to the undiseased lung. See that? Transferring from one lung to the other. I'll put the vocabulary in the description. Just definitely have to sit on this. Thank you so much for being here. From clinical viewpoint, PEEP therapy is primarily effective in reasonably non-regional lung disease that causes significant acute decreases in lung compliance. And that's where we'll pause. Right here. It's beautiful, beautiful chapter of reading. Thank you so much for reading Clinical Application of Respiratory Care by Barry A. Shapiro, Ronald A. Harrison, and Carole A. Trout. Now in the 24th chapter. Thank you so much for being here with this book reading. Wow, this is beautiful. I wish that all the sound is level and balanced, and the visuals as well on this beautiful Friday evening. Much love to all my friends and family. You know it. We're doing it. Live from the light, shaking it up on YouTube, reading high-level books. That's what we gotta do. I had a beautiful Your Healing session the other day. We have to keep going. We have no choice. Sometimes we have to let go so that we can make room for more. I wish all of you greatness. We are traveling to the white cloud this evening. I wish you have a wonderful, wonderful rest. You know I love you so much. Yeah, that's what we have to do. Love on one another. Lift one another up. As a holistic healer for so long, I've been able to transmute massive amounts of energy by doing massive amounts of work. When we're sweating, right? Remember, that's transfer of matter to spirit energy, right? Steam raises. We need to continue to raise one another up. I love you so much. Tanya, Asante, highest heart love. Thank you for being the light that you are. Blood force is running strong, and we honor you. Thank you. Thank you. Stay strong, and we'll see you soon. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Love water. Cheers to all of you. I want the best for all of us. That's why I come on here and do this respiratory care book reading. You know, as with all the other book readings, want the best for us. I'm here for us. I will protect you. Thank you for protecting me. Shouts out to South LA Cafe. Opening it up. Number 5. Man, much loved. All right, here we go. To all our friends and family. To my baby Bubbles. Oh, the baby. You'll always be my baby. Eagle, Sunflower, Wolf. To all my family and friends. I love you. Thank you so much. We're pushing towards 600 subs on this peaceful part of YouTube where we read books and learn from masters. Thank you so much. Hi, it's Hard Love. I will see you soon. Peace, peace.